Hey, everybody. Welcome to the B2B Revenue Leadership Podcast. Hey, what we do on this podcast is talk about what B2B sales and marketing leaders, operators, and experts are doing today to really break through and grow their businesses at exponential levels. Let's get it in the interview. At the end, I'll give you an update on my courses, and you can check out my website at b2brevenue.com, and it's Brian G. Burns on LinkedIn. Hi, Saksham. Welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
I'm the creative director at Outgrow.co, and Outgrow is an interactive marketing platform. It's basically a simple online platform where you can basically build any kind of quizzes or calculators, or basically any kind of non-static content like applets and widgets without knowing how to code. So it's a no-code tool. So it makes things really easy for any small, medium-sized businesses out there who can't actually afford to hire developers.
Cool. How did you find them? Are you a founder? Or are you one of the first employees? Or
I am kind of one of the first employees who kind of got involved in the idea because I was actually doing research on interactive content, and then I found out about the company, and then I just started working for them. So that's my story with Outgrow, yeah.
And people use these calculators and content to capture engagement and then contact information. Is that true?
Yes. So we call them leads, even though I don't like the term. So they actually, it's a very technical term. And I was like, okay, so someone is a lead. I just feel it's like too mechanical a term. So I think it is just better to say it's used to increase engagement. So what these are doing is, like, for instance, what a calculator or an e-commerce recommendation, I'll give you an example. For instance, if you go on Amazon or if you go on any e-commerce platform, there might be, if you're looking for sunglasses, there might be a simple recommendation widget which asks you a couple of questions. And like, what is your face shape? What is your eye color? What is your skin tone? And based on that, it recommends you a bunch of sunglasses. So it's easier for you to make a choice. So what these interactive content widgets and applets are doing is that it's just making stuff easier for you. So it is providing some real value to you. And it also then, before providing the real value, it's just going to ask you for your email and your details. Because in case you don't buy the product, they can just follow up with you later. Or also you just contribute, marketing data to how, sunglasses are being sold on the internet. And it actually just helps the company produce more sunglasses that people actually want to buy instead of just flooding the market with, too much product. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think these things are really powerful. I think a lot of the websites are really, because HubSpot did it with Website Grader,
Yes.
10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes useful. And it's a way of, okay, that's the exact demographic I want to talk to, is people who want to grade their website. So it's a real natural thing. But of course, not everybody has time to code or trying to figure all that stuff out. Huh?
Exactly. And the point is, I just feel like because we're living in the information age right now, but I think it's a very late part of the information age. So it's more like the misinformation age, because I think there's a lot of users out there who are putting out a lot of like content creators who are putting out there's just too much content. Like everyone's producing it. There's too much of it. Like even in the case of Website Grader, there's so many people who are like giving you opinions on what your website should be like. But what HubSpot's website grader does is that it gives you concrete value.
Yeah.
You don't have to like read paragraphs or an ebook to figure out what you need to do. You just enter your website's URL, you enter your email, and then concrete results are provided to you on the spot. And you know what? I really don't have the time to read someone's ebook or like to like go through like, countless blogs to see, what is the best tactic. I want something that gives me immediate value, and not just HubSpot. Like everyone's doing that. For instance, Nike has an app for that as well, for like giving you the ideal workout schedule. And this is like happening a lot. And this is an enterprise we're talking about, right? Nike is like a gigantic enterprise, but small influencers on Instagram can now compete at the level of Nike, because all they need to do is to go on a software or like a no-code tool and build a simple quiz that, based on your body type or your weight and your height, it gives you a particular workout schedule and a workout routine, which would allow these Instagram influencers, fitness influencers, to engage with their audience better. So I think interactive content is the future, and no code tools is also the future. And when you combine these two, we really have some good business going for people who want to like make their own stuff. Yeah.
Right, because you kind of self-qualify and you make the quiz telling you how qualified they are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a two-way process. A, the user gets something from it. They get a direct thing that is very personalized to them, that works really for them, and they are engaged with you. You maintain your engagement. But at the same time, you're also collecting marketing data. So you know more about your users and you understand what they want. So you know exactly how to fashion yourself as an Instagram influencer. But I'm just using the example of Instagram influencers because, everyone knows about them. But in general, any kind of small business, because I use the example of an Instagram influencer, like, come to think of it, because in the misinformation age, the Instagram influencer has the easiest potential of becoming a small business by himself. And I think that is so strong, and that is a great hallmark of our age, that anyone, any individual can become a small or medium-sized business within days. And I think that's why it's the best example to use. So I don't mention medium small businesses because it's a technical term, but it applies to all of you guys listening. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my Instagram isn't really rocking yet, but I guess
now's the time.
I got to work on my abs.
Well, no, not just fitness influencers, but all kind of influencers. Fitness influencers I use because it's swarming with fitness influencers right now. So
fashion.
It's just fashion and fitness. It's everywhere. But of fashion, they actually said, like, now that you bring up fashion again, like they can use like which sunglasses suit your face the best, or which makeup set suits you best. Did like this is actually one of the influencers who came up to us, who's also like has their own little business. She actually said, I want to make a quiz that helps people understand what makeup set suits them the best. And one of the questions, which I had no idea about, but she knew, and that had to be placed in the quiz as a very determining factor, was what color are the veins under your wrists? Because that is apparently very significant to figuring out what kind of foundation you should be putting on your face. So there's so much you learn about like every industry, and which is what I try to tell like all our small and medium businesses who come to us. I try to tell them, you probably have the best knowledge of your industry. Come to a software and experiment in making something, because you might be able to make something that even big enterprises like Amazon have not thought about till now, because they have so many departments through which like the process has to go, to the developers, to the IT support, blah blah blah. Whereas if you're a small or medium-sized business, you can just do this over the weekend, and then you just put it on your website on Monday and see if it works out. If it doesn't, then go and edit it, because you don't need to know coding to do this. So yeah.
Right, because I'm a small business owner, and I offer like a 15-minute call to determine if my courses are a right match for you. Right, and that 15-minute call is a pretty standard sequence. They start talking about themselves and what they do, but is it B2B sales? Yes or no? Are you having a hard time getting meetings? Yes or no? How many meetings per week? If you were able to double or triple that, what would that mean to you economically? Things like
that could just be a quiz, right? Like you could just automate that, and you can just put it on your website, and someone can pass through that. And in fact, we have like integrations with Calendly and Zoom, so people can go through the quiz and then book a meeting. So that's that they can do all of that. Like, and based on how they answer the questions, they can be directed to someone sitting somewhere on a Zoom call. So it's just very easy to like automate this whole process and collect all that data that you're asking in that 15-minute call. At the same time, if it was a quiz, that would be filed in somewhere, and based on the answers people are giving, you can further improve your business. So yeah, definitely, it's a universal use case. Like we serve like 21 different industries, and to me, I'm like the creative director, and to me, just like every time someone comes up with a new idea, I just encourage them to build it on our Outgrow, because it just expands the limits of what we can do ourselves. There's so many ideas. Like I think most ideas are coming from small and medium businesses. That's why I think I'm in Europe currently. Like I said earlier, it's because Germany has actually invested. Like in Germany, you wouldn't find so many big businesses. They don't actually, their model is not geared towards big businesses. Their whole model is geared towards medium and small businesses. That's why they're actually expected to come out of this recession much better than the rest of the world. Like the resilience of the German economy is very strong because its creativity is so strong, its flexibility is so strong, and all of that.
Yeah, but they're not very rigid, are they?
Character-wise.
I could always tell when we were at a sales kickoff, the German team was always in the sitting down, ready to go about 15 minutes before.
Yeah.
we started.
Pretty much.
It's a good culture. Now, what does a creative director do?
Well, I'm actually in charge of anything, like even in the product side or the customer side or the partnership side. It is general creative strategy for the company. And I think it's necessary for each business to have a creative director, because I can just go and interfere in any department and say, do you have a creative plan? Are you following a creative plan? Or like, if I want to make a grand creative strategy that involves multiple departments, it's going to happen. Like, we're going to do it. We're going to cut across departments. We're going to cut across any sort of rigidity, and we're going to make a plan feasible based on what I see, what I hear. So I basically have to have my finger in each pie and make sure we come up with something good. Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I would typically have thought of like a product manager within a product company.
Planning and strategy, I'd say.
Yeah.
More planning and strategy, but yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, because the engineers don't work for them, support doesn't work for them, finance doesn't work for them, but they're there to coordinate everything to make sure it gets done.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like coordinating everything to try to make sure that the company has a vision. So like there's a creative visions that we are trying to like implement, and that's what my job involves. So anything that happens, for instance, recently with the coronavirus thing, most restaurants were banned around the world, and you could only just do takeaway, right? But you couldn't just go and eat at a place. So most restaurants just converted into takeaway spots, and then they had to update their websites to have interactive meals. Like, if you want to actually build your own burger menu, like, McDonald's. So we didn't actually have this. We didn't actually have the ability for someone to actually make a quiz that works like a build your own burger menu. You choose your bun, you choose your, base type, you choose your meat, etc., etc. But then we implemented that creative strategy within a week. We actually made it possible for anyone or using our platform, any restaurant using our platform, to actually be able to make that themselves without using developers. And that's what I mean the creative director job involves, is to actually take note of what's actually happening around you, or at least happening in the market, and try to help the market and try to help your company at the same time. So I think it's
so how does it technically get put onto somebody else's website?
The build your own burger menu, for instance.
Yeah.
Oh, it's again, you don't need any developers. There's actually 6 or 7 ways in which you can put it on your website. There's like, either you can embed it, or you can have it as a chat bot, or you can have it in your email campaigns. You can embed it within your emails, and you don't even need to know. All you need to do, if you go to a builder, you make something, you just go to the section called embed on a website, and then you'll find 6 options, and you just copy the code, and then you just paste it on your website. Okay. It's just very simple. It's just very intuitive. There's nothing you have to do. It'll tell you exactly how to do it. And if anyone runs into any trouble, we have like a 24/7 support staff who is very eager to help, because they're so well versed at it. Like, they've been doing it for ages. So so that's
cool.
how it's done.
So if it's embedded, then it goes to your server to execute?
No, if it's embedded, it's literally on the website. It happens. Okay. Everything happens on the website. Everything, the view is counted on your website. The data is counted on your website. You can even have it as a pop-up. It all happens on your website. Yeah.
And so how would you charge then? So it can't be a monthly thing because there's no trace back.
What do you mean? How do I charge?
If I'm embedding the whole executable in my website, how do you charge? Is it just
there's still an Outgrow subscription, so you'd still need the Outgrow subscription for that content piece to work. So it is at a monthly cost, and there are like 4 or 5 plans, like a freelancer or an enterprise, or like a medium or small business plan. You can try any of those, and anyone listening to this podcast who wants to try it out, there's a 20% discount that we're going to give you for a special coupon code, which we'll let you know. It'll be in the description, I think.
Cool. That's excellent. Oh, what are you using to market your company?
Outgrow. We use Outgrow all the time to market our own company as well. You can also use it, like when I said you can embed it on your on your website. That's just one option, but there are like 6 options, right? So one of the options is that you can have it as a Facebook tab. So if you have a Facebook page, you can have a tab that actually has an interactive content piece, which people, as soon as they end up on your page, can actually have this very easy funnel to go through and to determine what they want, and so that you can get from them what you want. And you can also have it in your Facebook advertisements, because advertisements that actually engage, that are actually interactive, are more likely to capture the lead. I'm using that technical term again, than advertisements that are static. Because I think the age of static advertisements is also kind of over. I think we're now looking at most users who are looking at advertisements not on a billboard outside, while driving. I mean, I guess you see that and that's there, but at the same time, now you're looking at, advertisements on a computer screen or on your phone, and people want to interact with it and get something, a targeted value. So yes, that's how we advertise Outgrow too.
Cool. And what's your biggest challenge in your role?
What's my biggest challenge? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, it just depends from day to day, and it's not so much of a challenge. It's more of a stagnancy, I guess, would be a challenge. I don't want to get stagnant at my job. I always want there to be a challenge. That's my biggest challenge. I want there to be a challenge, because that keeps me interested enough to expand the limits of the software, whereas also provide a service to people who are in need of it. So I love it when customers come up to me, or come up to a company and they're like, we want to do this. Can your software actually do this? And I'm like, yes. That's exactly what gets me. If it can't do this, we want to see how much it can do that particular thing. So that's my, like I mentioned with coronavirus, to me, it was just an opportunity to really help people out. And to me, that's literally what I love my job for. So that's what I'd say is the biggest challenge, is stagnancy. I don't want stagnancy. I want something to be happening all the time.
And how do you keep your hand on the pulse of what works today in marketing?
So I do follow a bunch of marketing news websites, but even following marketing news websites, I would say, for anyone who's listening, I would just say that's also a niche. You're following marketing news, you've already kind of closeted yourself, within a particular sphere. So I would just literally say is to read the news. I would say read the news, because that's my biggest way of keeping in touch with the times. And I think every marketer needs to, more importantly, keep in touch with the times rather than with marketing trends, because marketing trends are dependent on the times. So I would say that. I mean, there are marketing news websites that I do follow, Sparktoro, for instance. But my main thing is every morning I wake up, I literally read at least 5 or 6 news websites, because I want to know what's happening in the world. And so
do you feel marketing is more of a echo chamber where everyone's saying the same thing?
It's definitely a little bit of an echo chamber, but I think at least people who are high up in marketing, really high up, they are the ones shaping the discourse in marketing, and then it becomes an echo chamber below. But I don't think they themselves are basing their knowledge of marketing in these echo chambers. They're actually, I suppose, they're reading the news, and based on that, they are coming up with what should happen in marketing, and then the rest of the world is following them. A marketing world is following them, which is why I always try to fight against terminologies collecting a lead. To me, that sounds like anyone outside this business would be like, what is that and why is that? Collecting a lead is for me a really bad term. The term marketing itself, I don't like it either, because it's such an abstract term. It doesn't mean anything. Marketing, what marketing, as a market, and then ing marketing. I don't know. It's such a weird word. So anything that is very genre specific or industry specific, I would just say try to think outside of it, try to see how other industries are looking at this term, and so stuff like that. So in general, I'd say for news, it's just better to read news websites and base your knowledge on that.
Is there one particular case study or several that you think really utilizes your approach and your product that you can share? You don't have to give the name of the company, but you can just describe the situation.
Definitely. I mean, return of investment calculators. That's something, any kind of non-product oriented business. So I'm looking at a business that is not selling a concrete product. Like you're not Amazon, you're not selling sunglasses, or if you're not selling, makeup sets, or if you're not selling, cars. If you're not selling something that's physical, you probably need a return of investment calculator on your website, because if you're selling a service, basically, if you're selling a service, if you're selling consulting, if you're selling, courses, if you're selling anything that is not a concrete exchange of money, not a concrete exchange of a physical object, you need to have a return of investment calculator that can infographically, first it asks a couple of questions to the user, and then it infographically shows you how much over time this service is going to benefit your company. Because there are two factors here. A, it's a service, and B, over time, because it's not going to happen tomorrow. You're going to see results in 6 months or in a year. And that's what HubSpot, for instance, has an ROI calculator on their website, which shows you how much you can increase your company's engagement capacity or customer retention capacity by using HubSpot. And then it shows you in a graph, because you know what? Yeah. Infographic value sinks in deeper into the user, rather than if I threw just some numbers at you, like, it's going to increase by so and so percent. I don't really register that, because that's, again, an abstract number. But if you show it in a graph, like, you show it over time, that's going to sink in deeper with your audience. So if you're selling any kind of service, you probably need a return of investment calculator, because every enterprise already has it on their website. So if you guys don't have it, like anyone who's listening to this podcast, you guys should probably have a return of investment calculator on your website. Yeah.
And how about with the quizzes? Have you seen anybody go too far, too many questions, but where people bounce off before they finish?
Exactly. I mean, like, that happens all the time. And that's why in Outgrow, there's a whole analytics section, which is very simple to use, which shows you when people started leaving the quiz. So after question number 5, was there a big dropout? And so then you can, based on, again, another factor you can take into consideration if you're looking at Google Analytics for your website, you look at what the bounce rate of your website is. How much time are people staying on your website anyway? And based on that, you have like a 3-question quiz, or like a 4-question quiz, or a 10 or 15-question quiz. Again, you have to be flexible. And then again, on Outgrow, you can like make several. So you can actually A/B test these quizzes and see which one's performing better, and then just use that one. So it does happen, of course, but there's obviously ways to actually improve it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen like mortgage companies have like a survey. It's not really a quiz. It's kind of like a qualification. What state do you live in? How much is your house worth? What kind of house is it? And after like 4 or 5 questions, you're like, all I want to know is what's the current interest rate, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, like, this is, again, they've like clearly not built it properly, because if they've built it properly, if all someone wanted to know was the current interest rate, they could have just added like a logic jump that allows that person to just go directly there. So this is the one. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of companies, like, especially like if they're big enterprises, like, real estate has a lot of money, in general. So these are big enterprises who are hiring developers or coders to do this. They're going through several departments, and in the end, they end up building something that really doesn't help anyone. So that's what I'm saying. That's why small and medium businesses are at such an advantage, because we guys know what actually works. Like, we're just going to go for literally what works. 3 questions, we know exactly what to give the user. So we'll just make a 3-question quiz with a logic jump here and there, and you just give it the exact value. Yeah. So I know, like, for real estate, actually, one of the things we built for this client, which actually just really rocketed, was how much can you make by Airbnb-ing your property? And then it would ask you what state you were in, whether there was a historical landmark nearby. And then we took that data from Airbnb to actually show you over time, like in a year, over 6 months, how much you could actually make. And this launched off, like, this was like picked up by Trend Hunter and like so many websites, because it was something that was really needed. And it was a great way for that real estate client to actually sell his property. Because a lot of times people are not just looking to buy real estate to live in it, right? They're looking to buy it as an investment, and they're like, can I actually get something while it's just lying there? So they just put it on Airbnb. So yeah, that's one of the examples again.
That's good. That's a good one, because I've seen like retirement calculators and stuff. As long as it's live, you'll answer the questions. It'll give you the graph. Yeah. And the more information, the more accurate it becomes.
Yeah.
But if you don't get the result until the very end, you're like, or at least be able to, here's my email address, email me the result.
Which is what I keep telling people is like, go on our builder, go on the Outgrow Builder and experiment and build things. And you
Yeah.
would understand why, like how much a user is capable of answering. Like they're not here to fill a form or a survey, right? They're here to, right,
Get some value out of it.
yeah, they want some value out of it. And like millennials, is it actually millennials have the attention span of a goldfish? So I'm just saying that is like you're targeting a bunch of goldfish, and don't even try to like show off your knowledge or like blah blah blah, because they're just gonna get distracted and like leave. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hey, this has been a fun conversation. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about your company?
You can go to our website, https outgrow.co, and I will let you guys know the coupon code, which I guess you can put in the description of this thing. And if you go on the chatbot at the bottom right of our website, you enter the coupon code, you can get a 20% annual discount. And if you go on the templates section of our website, you can see more than like 2,000 templates for 21 different industries that you can just edit and customize and put it on your website. Like you don't even have to build something. You just edit it, put your own company's logo, and just put it on your website, and you already have something going.
Cool. And you want to give the coupon code here, or?
Oh, no, we can just put it in the description.
Okay. And how about on social? Where are you most active?
I'm active on Twitter. You can follow me. It's complicated to actually give my Twitter handle. But you can follow Outgrow on Twitter. It's just called outgrow.co. And on Instagram, Pinterest, we are everywhere, except TikTok, which we'll get on soon.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Hey, I want to make sure you're checking out b2brevenue.com. That is where you can get a free copy of an ebook that I did. It's a real ebook. It's not a fluff book. It shows and talks about how companies make buying decisions and how you can influence that from both a marketing and a sales standpoint, how to find all the people that are in the decision path and what they need to see, know, and touch and feel before they make a product selection. If your team needs some coaching, some help, some training, some systems, some processes that do work today, because we know what doesn't work, or you know what doesn't work, I'll show you what does work and how to connect and get into pretty much any account. It includes deal coaching and content community, and I can customize it for your particular company. Just go to b2brevenue.com, look under training, schedule a call with me. We can talk it over, or just sign up. You can pay per month or all at once, whichever makes most sense for your budget. Also, I put out videos pretty much daily on LinkedIn and on YouTube. On LinkedIn, it's Brian G. Burns, and on YouTube, it's Brian Burns Sales. Just search for that if you like to consume some video content. And if you see me on LinkedIn, please put a comment and a share and a like on some of the videos. I really appreciate it. I've got a company page for each podcast. This one, the B2B Revenue Leadership Podcast, where I put both content and humor videos out daily. And tell a friend about the podcast. Really appreciate you listening. Check out the show notes for all the partners and the connections you can make there, the coupon codes for the products to evaluate them, see if they're a right match for you. And we'll see you next time.